Last orders at the bar!
A night in with Mauler and the drinker, getting trashed with the web stream dinkers. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Pop off the cork, have a glass of wine, I feel safe, I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line, but pour me a Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, Mauler and the critical drinker.
Hey, that sounds like us. I believe that's our
Here we
cue.
are again.
Here we are, yeah. Welcome everyone for Open Bar 142 Last Orders. I just realized I wrote the when I actually wrote down the episode title there, I did it all kind of retarded with like upper and lower case all over the place. But that's okay. I'll fix it in post. No one has to know, apart from the fact that I just mentioned it here.
I was going to say that's really bad tactically, but you can still edit this out before the end. It's all right.
I could, but I probably won't. I won't remember. Should we actually just start the whole thing over again?
Yeah, all right. No one will know.
We're doing it live. Okay.
Fuck it.
Okay. Well, we had a whole bunch of super chats from everyone on the night, and as we always do, we catch up on the ones that we've missed here. So let me see if I can get back into them and try not to go over the same ones again, which I inevitably always do. Intelligent Crayon Eater here says, there's no way that Marvel intended to only make 6 episodes of Iron Shard. I would love to know how much was left on the cutting room floor and how bad it had to be for even Marvel to leave it out. Yeah, 6 seems pretty short, doesn't it? This is like Echo when they clearly reduced the episode countdown.
Which and something we can tell for every single aspect of it tells us that they don't want to release this, but they have to.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be great fun when it comes out. Mr. Takubuti says, Nemec talking down the ISB from his grave. What a goat. That was pretty good. I love that scene with Partagaz.
Yeah, it's excellent.
The right tackle says, did Ironheart loot that power armor from a Target? No, it was Walmart, you fool. What are you talking about?
Yeah, obvious difference.
Dan Heistan says, damn, Andor is good. Yeah, we thought pretty much the same thing. J Smart says, for those of us that are not on Patreon, how can we find out about script submissions? Drop my contribution day of. Look forward to what y'all create. Yeah, you don't need to be on Patreon to do it. You'll get a notification through Kickstarter, and I will put out something on my community page on my actual YouTube channel so that everyone will know when it's time. And we're almost there, actually. We're pretty much ready to go. We might put out like a week's warning for everyone saying like, the competition will open in a week. So this is your last chance to get your submissions all tidy up and ready. Social Morlock says, Dearest Mauler, this letter is to regretfully inform you that Clown in a Cornfield is a hard pass. Like Taro, Until Dawn, Wish Upon its modern, unimaginative slop, although could make a great EFAP comparison with Tucker and Dale.
So yeah, from the creators of Tucker, Dale vs. Evil, which I think is a fantastic film.
Yes, it's good fun.
It's a bit disappointing to know that Clown in a Cornfield is apparently just that. Fringy Sword as well, and he said there's like maybe 3 moments where it's kind of smirk worthy, but overall meh. And I was like, oh.
Is Until Dawn worth watching? And does it bear any relation to the game?
No. They scrapped the what they had from the game, which we should expect for 99% of fucking adaptations. But no, the whole premise and the way it runs is just you enter into an area, and now until you survive all the way till dawn, if you die, you reset. It's very Groundhog Day, but with assorted serial killers. None of their rules fucking make sense, and it all seems very arbitrary, and it's not very creative. And by the end of the film, they have to break all their own rules to like escape it. It's not very satisfying.
Did you ever watch
either?
Did you ever watch Happy Death Day?
Yes,
I liked that.
I remember thinking it's fine. Yeah, it's better than Until Dawn.
Yeah, well, I thought the main character was pretty likable, and I think the actress did a good job. And it was actually they had a lot of fun with the premise. Didn't
they have a second one? Happy Death Day to You, I think it was called.
Oh, I don't know. If they did, I haven't seen it.
Well, put it on the list, eh?
Yeah. Penbrook's Own says, yes, Drinker, Mauler, Panel, and Chat. You're all legends. Toilet duck hurts when you pass it down out of your system. Ellie's they, by the way. That's a good one. Ellie is a they. Lewis G says, nice panel. 4 girls and 1 guy. Nice ratio. Okay.
All right.
Zeddy Boy says, wow, 2 women. Diversity quotas much, Drinker? Hey, look, I'm all about elevating other diverse voices within the YouTube space, etc., etc. But yeah, man, it's nice to have a bit of variety on our show. OMG Puppies says, speaking of Stalin, Gilroy has said that Cassian Andor is partly based on young Stalin, a train robber who Lenin groomed to be a revolutionary. That can't be true.
I mean, as far as I tell, he was basing things in Andor off everything. Like all of history was the idea. Just consistent elements.
Jimmy Chungus says, off to the cinema to see Final Destination 6, hearing that it's one of the better entries. I hope so.
That's what I've heard.
I'm planning to see it tomorrow. Master of Puppets, with the success of Revenge of the Sith I can't say that one. Revenge of the Sith in theaters, what other older films would you like to see? I think I got asked that on the night, actually. This person says they'd like to see Dread from 2012. Any films that you never saw on the big screen that you'd want re-released? We had a whole list, didn't we?
Yeah.
Aliens. I would like to see Blade Runner. T2, actually.
T2
Probably.
would be one, yeah.
Sirius Sakor says, cheers, Mauler and Drinker. Andor was a banger. I'm begging you to have Fringy do his best impression of Krennic interrogating Dedra on this weekend's EFAP. It's the only thing that brings me joy in life.
You know what's funny? That's like the one character he didn't try to do a wacky impression of, even though it's the most suitable, technically. Like, Ben Mendelsohn, is he Australian? He is, right?
He is Australian, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, his actual accent is just like kind of stage English in the show. I feel like he'd be quite a difficult one to impersonate, actually, if you're trying to do a serious one.
Well, but he is Australian, so he has that aspect, you know. Like,
Fair,
you can do every Scottish character, remember?
I mean, it would be funny if he if he did just slip into Australian on the show just for no reason. What was that? William Uzel says, good evening, Drinker. Would you mind doing your best impression of Topper firing his machine gun in slow-mo? Cheers. I mean, since I'm not on screen, I can't really do it except to go, la, 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 la. It's the best I got for you, sorry. It's Mr. Yang says, hello, Bar. Still replaying Nier Automata. I never know how to say that. Is it Automata or Auto?
I think Automata is supposed
Automata.
I don't know, though, to be fair.
A masterpiece. I hope you all will someday experience. Mauler, what game is a low-key masterpiece for you?
Low-key masterpiece. Most of the ones I would have to list would be high-key ones, I think.
Find me a low-key one.
Everything that's coming to mind, I'm pretty sure everyone thinks is a masterpiece anyway. So it's like, what is a game that people don't think is a masterpiece?
Lord of Rings, Gollum. Clearly.
I mean, obviously. Why would I even bother mentioning that? That's high key. Well, I was about to say Blueprints, but it's pretty good rep right now. I love that game.
I think that was just like a sort of indie game or something. Like, it wasn't like some big AAA thing.
No, yeah. Well, wait, is that what they're asking for?
No. I mean, I was just asking for my own information. Oh,
yeah. Well, no, yeah. Blueprints is independent. I think it is anyway. I should actually check that. In any case, it's a pretty unique, not like, never been done before, but still feels very unique and very addictive, very much brain teaser sort of game throughout. Lots of what's so addictive about it is you're constantly making choices that matter, and you have to keep a lot of what you've done prior in your head to make the most efficient, choices. But yeah, I mean, that masterpiece, I hesitate to say that about anything that's recently come out, because you want to give it a bit more time and think about it and stuff. But I'd say maybe that counts as a low-key masterpiece. Sure.
That's fine. He also asks, Drinker, are aged spirits overrated? No. In fact, they're underrated. We need more of them. SC615 says, Partagaz and Luthen got done dirty. Luthen should have finished it himself. They stole his agency. They saying that he should have got to kill himself and that was it? Because there's like a whole episode.
He gave it a real good shot.
He did, yeah. And we got a whole episode essentially around Clea getting in to kill him and like getting their entire backstory. So I feel like that was probably worth it.
Very meaningful. And like if I was to be critical, I would have expected a much more definitive kill myself method that he had prepped for years, as opposed to grabbing the knife and using it. And of course, the sabotaging their technology, I would have thought there'd be something a little bit more definitive. But all the dialogue was fantastic. And what it meant for everybody involved in all those scenes, I think, was well worthwhile. Those elements being a little bit shaky because it's Luthen. You'd expect he would, like the sorts of war movies where they'll bite down on the cyanide and shoot themselves in the head.
Yes.
That kind of thing I would expect from Luthen. Not specifically that, just something where he does two different things to make sure he's dying. There's no way he survives.
I mean, like we were saying on the night, like it would have been pretty easy just a fucking bomb in his shop.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we'll just set that off. If necessary, take out myself and destroy all the technology in there. Just like turn it into molten slag or something.
Yeah, it
Job
looks like
done.
it was a lot of what they did was to facilitate the job in the hospital, which I think was well worthwhile to show all the shit she does to earn her way up to that room, and then simultaneously contrast with the flashbacks that give them the old boost. Yeah, I mean, I am very much in favor of that episode. I quite loved it.
Carrie D says, "Congrats, Drinker and Mauler, on your Rippaverse works." Yeah,
Well,
that's a
thank
neat
you.
little thing. Pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
Logan Johnson, I think might have read this, but I'm going to do it anyway because it was a $50 super chat. He says, "Sup, Drinker, Mauler, and panel. How about that awesome Ironheart trailer, huh? My God, so horrible. I'm also glad that Andor ended well, being a part Disney Star Wars and all. And to close it off, I got my birthday Saturday and Doom the Dark Ages calls to me. Yeah. Not a bad way to spend it." And yeah, Mauler and I were just talking about that before we went live. I've started streaming it. Very much enjoyed it so far. I can kind of see the criticisms of it where it's interspersed with too many cutscenes and dragon riding bits and stuff. But the actual combat is a lot of fun and
Yeah.
pretty undemanding, really. Big Hat Legion says, "Mauler, Last of Us 2 or Dark Souls 2, show or game both suck."
Wait, are they asking me which is worse? Because it's Last of Us 2. Like that's an easy one.
Yeah, I think so. OMG Puppies. Gilroy thought 5 seasons would take too long, so a series of movies, 3 days with a year of negative space between. He began writing the first and last scene of each block to see if it could work. Is that true?
From what I've always known is that Andor season 1 just didn't perform well enough, and so a grander plan was shut down. But I can't speak to any specifics of how things rolled out over time because it was still a while from the inception of Andor to season 2 releasing. That's a big old span of time. So who knows what everything was talked about,
Mega Spideyman says, "Even without the Rebels' victory in the OT, do you think Revenge of the Sith ends on an optimistic or a bittersweet note?" It's kind of funny, actually, because say if you had no idea about the OT or like it never got made and it was just like the prequels, it would feel like a pretty bleak ending, like the Empire's won.
Yeah, I
Anakin's
would
fallen to the dark
hesitate
side.
to. I don't know why we would call it bittersweet because as it's more so like dire with a glimmer of possible hope for the future.
And then the hope is really Luke being, left on Tatooine, but then it's like, unless you know where he's heading as a character, and that's what that banks on, you wouldn't really know what to think about that. It's like, yeah, Anakin had a kid, and he could grow up to be just as evil as Anakin was. We don't know.
And then you watch the Obi-Wan show because that's next in the continuity, and then you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Why did you say that name?
Why is everyone retarded?
Yeah.
Why isn't he looking after Luke? Why is Leia going on an adventure?
Yeah. Clank, I'm a Tank says, "I would have loved Luthen to put on the Sith armor." Sure. Yeah. That would be great. And then just kill the whole Empire himself.
I wanted to team up with Jar Jar.
Still don't give Dave Filoni ideas. Still the Buster says, "Hail to Drinker and panel. Would you have enjoyed The Last of Us Season 2 if Neil changed it to a musical and the role of Ellie was played by Awkwafina?" Yes, I think that would have been excellent. It would have been a strong creative choice. What's this? Sean Ford says, Last week, on episode 141, Despot said, "Has the audience been moronified for liking Thunderbolts?" Drinker agreed, "Bad idea calling your listeners morons." I mean, like, all I can say is Thunderbolts is a pretty shit movie. You can enjoy it if you want, but let's not pretend it's good.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously the break. It would just be like, we don't want to be celebrating the writing quality of something like Thunderbolts. Otherwise, we ain't getting anything good ever again.
Jammed Bug says, oh no, sorry, Zeddy Boy, first of all, says, "The curse of season 2 has been broken." Yay. Jammed Bug says, 712, sorry, 7 to 12, and watching Rogue One right after it felt like a funeral to Star Wars. It's not likely to get this good for a very long time.
Nope.
You're very right. Senor Bones, Star Wars is such a dead franchise that even with the fun that Drinker, Mauler, and Ryan, the conversation is boring me to death. I'm beyond apathy for Star Wars. Sorry, guys. Sad face. I mean, you know it's bad when the sad face emoji comes out, but
Man, yeah.
I get, yeah, I don't blame people for struggling to get into this just because of where Star Wars is at. I can't force you to. All I would say is, like, it's probably worth your time to watch Andor. But them's the breaks.
Did you see it's got like a record of to have 5 episodes in a row that are over 9.5 on IMDb? I think that's the first show to ever have that.
Really?
Yeah. It's episodes 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, which it's a good stretch, not gonna lie.
Silly Sailor says, "What happened to Cassian's sister? The whole plot that started the whole thing was forgotten about."
Yeah, people keep saying that, even though it was addressed in the show, and Tony Gilroy has made statements talking about the purpose of it being a hole in Cassian's life that's supposed to drive him toward trying to help people because he didn't manage to help his sister. That's the functionality of it. Marva told him to let it go because it's very likely she's gone and he'll never find her. So yeah, it's all in the show.
The unfulfilled nature of life.
Mm-hmm.
Michael D says, "My only real criticism is that regardless of their feelings towards Luthen, they had to know that he could not have allowed Luthen and Clea to be captured or they would have all been finished." True.
Yeah. What's that like? Is that a criticism or just an observation? Or
I mean, I'm just reading it as it is, really. I don't know how else to interpret it. It says it's a criticism, but yeah. Dr. Pelican says, "Can't believe that Palpatine was referenced by K2. Such blatant fan service. We should have known that Gilroy had no restraint. He should have taken lessons from Dave Flamboni." Sure.
Dude, I love all of his lines, but like if you remember, that one is the when they're arriving at Coruscant, he's like, "Melchi's never been to Coruscant." And there's like a little gap that he just goes, "I've been to Coruscant."
Yeah, for a parade.
And then you just see
Emperor
like the
Palpatine
camera,
was there.
well, it tightens up on him, and he's like, "Palpatine was there."
Jeremy Soden says, "Just finished Andor season 2, episode 8. Mind blown. Can't stay. Don't want spoilers. And episode 9 is starting."
Mm-hmm.
Don't blame you. Yapatron says, "Hot take. Andor was a lame show with little to no payoffs. Jyn is never mentioned. Show should have been called Mothma because she's the only character to benefit and outlive everyone all the way to Return of the Jedi." I mean, that's definitely an interesting way to look at it. Sure.
Okay.
Sometimes with these, I'm like, are they being serious or is it just a piss take? You know what I mean? Like sometimes they skirt the line.
Yeah.
Lissimerian says, "A la Thunderbolt / New Avenger title reveal, when will we learn that Ironheart is really called Black Fatigue?" Ooh, brutal. Mr. Taco Booty says, "R1 would be better if Tony was writing from the start." Rogue One.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Starbucks Meg says, "The Clea and Luthen arc was my favorite of these three. I really felt the tension of Clea holding out in the safe house. The limited exposure to Luthen's history works perfectly for his character, in my opinion." That's probably a sequence we didn't really mention much, but just like, yeah, her like hold up there, sending out her messages, having no idea if anyone's even listening anymore, just hoping against hope. That's some good stuff there.
And they didn't do it explicitly, but I'm inclined to believe that the idea is they saved each other, right? So he literally saving her from, if she was found, she would have been executed, and then her giving him the prompt, right? He mentions how the thing he really didn't understand up until later in his life was that you can make a choice, which is obviously supposed to be referencing like rebellion in general. You don't have to follow the Empire. You can choose to go against them, and that's what it's. Because if you remember, he's heading out to like rejoin the battle, but he finds her, and it's like, right, well, we're not doing this anymore. And what's cool is, of course, he doesn't jump right into being a rebel or creating a network. He just wants to survive, get new identities, and make some money.
Yep. You know, there's a gradual transition there, and yeah, still love that scene with the detonator, where it's just like,
It's great.
I want you to do it. I want you to look around first and see what you're giving up. And it's like, yeah, that's it. That's the gravitas of doing something like this. It's not just mindless destruction. It's like, yeah, you're making a very tangible step into a different world.
So fucking thankful we got Stellan Skarsgård playing Luthen, because they really needed like a heavy hitter for that character to make it perfect, because he's like one of my favorites now in Star Wars.
I mean, they don't get much heavier than him, that's for sure. The Imperial Brick says, Rogue One and Andor are the only Disney Star Wars projects that I genuinely love. They're not canon to me, but they are great. That's fair.
Yeah, sure.
Daval says, allow for lower budget, more experimental Star Wars projects. 50 to 70 million movies or series, you could hit gold and more likely to make your money back. I don't disagree with that, because as much as I really appreciate Andor, holy shit, $650 million to do 2 seasons of telly. I mean, that's
really
I think
quite
obscene.
If you and I were on some bizarre fucking board meeting about the viability of Andor, I think both of us would be like, this is not going to get you money.
Yeah.
It might get you acclaim. If you are happy to just have that, then go ahead. But it's definitely not getting your returns on this.
But I do, yeah, I like that idea of like, hey, we're going to finance, 4 or 5 mid-budget Star Wars movies where we really want people to just focus more on good character writing, experiment a bit, take some risks, do some interesting stuff. I think you could do a nice balance of decent visual effects, but not have it overwhelm everything. Yeah, that's kind of where you need to go, I think, next. SC615 says, you're missing the point. Star Wars main canon are for all audiences. Just because fringe media explores things not for all audiences doesn't mean that the main Star Wars canon/IP needs to follow. I feel like we answered this one on the night.
We definitely did, because obviously that's a bizarre comment to make, as if we've ever suggested Andor should be like how all Star Wars should be.
Yeah. Southeastern Kaiju says, I've not seen anything Disney Star Wars since TLJ. Oh, what a peaceful life you've had.
Yeah.
White Knight Leo says, I understand the interest and I get why it's good. It's too little too late, and all roads still lead to Jake Skywalker. As much as I wish I could, I'm just not interested in Andor. It's a lot of that same sentiment going around. Tyler B says, Andor is overhyped. It's a 7 out of 10 show in a sea of embarrassing Disney Star Wars, and the character of Andor is a knockoff Kyle Katarn.
I mean, sure. If you feel that way, I know a lot of EU people feel like Disney have done nothing but sort of destroy and then reuse pieces of the EU, and if that's reason enough to not even give it a shot, then fair enough. I don't take any issue with people principally avoiding it. It's more annoying when people do watch it and then say it's terrible, and then give reasons that are like, oh, but that's got to answer what you just said. But okay.
OMG Puppies. Andor is political, references the Algerian Revolution, Spanish Civil War, etc. Gorman is a color revolution, engineered riot, false flag shooter, media propaganda. It's the Maiden Sniper Massacre. So, yeah, I think the difference is like Andor is political, but it's not driven by identity politics, which makes for a nice little change in Disney Star Wars. So I'm fine with that.
I just feel like it appeals to human nature rather than explicitly taking like a side in a modern sort of hot button issue. As much as some people would say like, what, you're insane, that absolutely does. I'd be like, okay, just look at how the maximum of the audience are all compelled by episode 8 for their own reasons, because they think it's representative of different things. I think that
Sure.
Gilroy has said as much, that like it's not explicitly about any particular conflict. It's supposed to be representative of literal like centuries and generations of human conflict. Is how things often run with different powers, and I think it's excellent for that. It's the fact that everyone can look into it and be like, shit, man, that's bad and it shouldn't happen.
Murdering innocent civilians is bad.
I mean, you might say that we need more of that. It's like unifying content that everyone can say, yeah, that was horrible what the Empire did, and it's good that we defeated them in the storyline. Everyone is saying that. You don't even have fringe people saying like, well, actually, the Empire, the Gormans weren't so great after all.
Hoarding all those precious resources that even known about them. Garfield's Bizarre Adventure says, all roads lead to Jake Skywalker. If you like Andor, then great, but I'm done with Disney's nonsense. Again, you're free to feel that way. Neem says, Andor Season 1, 2, and Rogue One, a better prequel trilogy. And I say this as a prequel fan.
Well, I don't know if you've heard this, Drinker, but some people out there have said that Andor is better than the OT.
That is a bold claim.
It is indeed.
But that is, that's going out there. Ali Mac says, without lightsabers and force, what's good about it? Probably like the characters, the complex plotting, the excellent dialogue, the superb performances, the great visual effects, the set design, like essentially every aspect of it. Pretty good. But yeah, apart from that, like, there's not much to recommend it.
Yeah.
Chad Admiral Thrawn says, Disney shows are created by people who are morally defunct. I can't get behind any of their good guys. I'm glad that the Empire gets their wins. I mean, really in this?
Well, it seems Gilroy's got his morals in the right place for the most part, I'd say. Yeah.
I'd say so. The Imperial Brick says, Star Wars, Spark of Rebellion. That's not a bad title. Yeah, because we were tossing around different names rather than calling it Andor.
Yeah.
Where to Wander says, imagine if Amazon had hired Tony Gilroy for Rings of Power. Yeah, imagine that.
Oh my God.
Crazy world. Jesus.
You'd have characters. That'd be crazy.
Yep. Daval says, remember when an Andor writer accidentally walked onto the set of Mando Season 3, Episode 4, creating the most interesting episode? Which one was that? Season 3, Episode 4.
Of Mando. Oh,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's the one with Dr. Pershing and the he's gradually trying to break free of the because he is ex-Empire and he's trying to integrate into the Republic. If you remember, they've got programs to get people
Right. Yeah.
and
Oh yeah,
he's
because
realizing is the Empire's corruption is still present in the Republic.
Yes.
And he tries to like deal with it, but then he gets caught out and given like a fucking mind melding thing.
That was a weirdly like out of step episode compared to the rest of Mando.
Well, all of it's been so bizarre. You look at the Book of Boba Fett structure that it had a Mando Season 2.5 in there.
Yep.
It was like, what?
So weird. Cannon Folderall. All right, lads and lassies, fun Andor praise and discussions done with. Time to eat your upcoming slop and current sludge, and you will like it. Cheers. Yeah, I can't wait. There's plenty of slop coming up. Albert Poolhalls says, if Indiana Jones 4, 5, and 6 had to be made, what would have been the ideal time and story arc? 90s, etc. If there has to be one more film in the universe, what is it? So probably, the 90s would have been the right time to film it when Harrison Ford was still young enough to do it physically. I don't necessarily hate the idea of a sort of older indie. You know, like
do it,
stretch it to the sort of early 2000s, but he's still like physically pretty fit. And yeah, I think like that sort of, I might have been interested to see what he was doing during the war. That could have been a neat little arc. So yeah, probably would have been my choice. And if there has to be another film in the universe, what is it? It's fucking Indy dies in the first 2 minutes, and then the rest of it is just his funeral plans. So I don't know what you could possibly do at this point with him. Incognito says, Who would you rather have in control of Star Wars from here on out? Rian Johnson, J.J. Abrams, or Dave Filoni?
Jesus.
Yeah. I think we all have to take a moment of silence just to contemplate the enormity of that retardation.
We're fucked no matter what with those three.
I think I might pick JJ, and that's very reluctantly.
It's like TFA and TROS versus TLJ versus all of the sludge shows.
I don't. Yeah, I'm not gonna like hold Rise of Skywalker against them as much because like 90% of that movie is trying to unfuck everything that Rian Johnson did, and so I might say, you know, I've said this many times before. If we just had a J.J. Abrams trilogy of Star Wars movies, I think they would have been pretty boring and pretty like visually impressive, but like ultimately just super conventional. I mean, I don't think people would have been like particularly upset about it. I think we would just got to the end and be like, yeah, okay, that happened, I guess.
Maybe. I'm inclined to agree because Ryan is going to make stuff that you're going to hate.
Yes.
Filoni might just do that, but the childish version, and that's saying something. And then, yeah, JJ, we might get like a McDonald's level Star Wars film, which is actually just slightly better than the ones that you hate.
Yeah. Deathly Salt says Doom is good, but Expedition 33 puts it into the dirt. Yeah, a lot of people were recommending that when I was streaming last night.
Got to play it at some point.
Yeah. Tay says, my first open bar, finally. Cheers, everyone. And cheers to you, Tay. Keith Ordaz, your Doom disc only has less than a gig of info. Yes, I am very fucking aware of that. Trust me. I put it in, like expecting, all right, I'll do the install, and then there'll probably be like, 20 gigs of patches and stuff to download. No. It's basically just a code on the disc, and then everything else has to be downloaded, and it took most of the day. So that was fun.
Yeah, modern
and
gaming.
Unknown to me, well, not unknown to me, but like my PlayStation wouldn't do any further install if it went into like rest mode. So I had to like change it so that it basically stayed on for like 4 hours straight, which again is kind of annoying. So yeah, I hate what they do with games now. Little Delatro says, if Andor is just too good for the basic and childish understanding of what Star Wars should be, then maybe Star Wars should just rightfully die. Oh, don't worry, it will.
I mean, I was about to say, it's like, didn't it? Isn't that like the whole kind of thing? Yeah, but yeah.
Des Roma says, hey, do you think we can get the Gilroy cut, or is that sort of thing saved for Snyder? In other news, already ordered Saints and Sinners. So excited for all of you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And yeah, can we get a Gilroy cut at some point?
I don't think it exists. So like, they talking about Rogue One, right?
I guess so, yeah.
I guess if he could, it would be awesome to see that. I doubt there is one that exists though, and I don't think at this point there's going to be something that gets done. But as we said, it would have been cool to see his Rogue One instead of one that he tried to fix.
Yeah. Montana says Kung Fury 2, discuss. I mean, I don't know how much I can say at this point. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
I liked Kung Fury 1, so I mean, hopefully it lives up to that. Dwarmer says, hey guys, I'm turning 34 today. I hope you're all doing well, and I want you to know what you guys do is important. I appreciate your honesty. Cheers. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
I hope you had a great birthday, man. Chris N says, Clea was badass. Yes, she was. I like how she's just she's like a rock for Luthen throughout the show.
Yeah, and to find out that she's the one that like so that ending shot where she's looking at the sunrise, it's and like the rebellion, there's some people that walk past who just smile at her, sort of welcoming. I definitely took that because not a lot is explicit with a lot of the ways they do the parallels or the connections and stuff, but obviously Luthen's speech from season 1 where he says he's trying to create a sunrise he'll never see. It's like combine that with that final shot for her. I think they're trying to tell us it's like she's definitely come to realize and appreciate he gave up everything for her.
Yeah,
like his life was going to be a lot simpler, easier, pragmatic, safe, but seeing her fury constantly, her never forgetting what the Empire did, and him obviously knowing them better than she even does. He makes that play with her of like, we can become something that will do serious damage to them, but it's like, I don't even know that I want to do that to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the point of it when he took the controller back off her in that flashback, I feel like that's supposed to be representative of the actual heart in Luthen, right? So him being cold, ruthless, and that was his reputation of, hey, little girl, blow up all those people before, even though she's eager to do it because she's so fucking pissed off with the Empire. He still takes the control. He's like, no. Like,
yeah, it's like, I'm not going to put this on you at this age, but like, I
Yeah.
needed to know that you were willing to do it.
Which is why it's perfectly dovetails with her modern requirement, which is not only exploding shit, but it's all in favor of killing him. It's it's really quite meaningful.
Jay Fraser says, "Hail, gents! Rolling Stone magazine had Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, the Boston bomber, on their issue's front cover a couple of months ago after his terrorist attack. Yeah, truly, you don't hate modern journalists enough." Master A says, "Need to watch Andor. I'm only at episode 6 of season 1, so hi all and bye. Snarky, watch Lord of the Rings, damn it. We'll get her to do it. We'll force her.
I mean,
It's just a case of breaking her down.
She could be sitting on like her next nerd obsession, We go grab it.
Just waiting to go. It's a whole new world waiting to be explored." Starbucks Meg says, "Which would be more effective at taking on the Empire? A rebellion made up of just clones of Drinker, or a rebellion made up of just Maulers?" So this is a tricky one to answer. I think like if it was all Drinkers, they would launch just like random berserker attacks here, there, and everywhere with no strategy or anything to it, and probably cause a fair bit of damage but get wiped out in the process. Whereas the Maulers would only do like one mission every couple of years, but it would be planned to absolute perfection.
I'm just picturing starships for you that are just like Jack Daniels bottles.
It's like, you board another ship like you see in the beginning of Skeleton Crew, and like the doors open, just a big army of Drinkers come like staggering out, like throwing bottles at people and stuff.
I just like the intro of like you attach like this pipe to this ship and everyone thinks you're boarding, but it's like, it just cuts to you and you're like, flood them, and it's just alcohol gets shoved into the ship and it's like,
it burns. Garfield's Bizarre Adventure. The only way to save Last of Us is to cast Sam Hyde as Fat Geralt and have him punched everything and everyone in the vicinity. That's all. I think that'd be superb. I'd watch that.
I'm not against this idea.
Yeah. Sam Wallace. Liz DeLoe was the last-minute recast for Clea, the first role straight out of college. Gilroy was so impressed how she held her own with Skarsgård that he expanded her season 2 role. Imagine that, eh? Your first acting role, and you've got to fucking stand opposite Skarsgård.
She was excellent as well. Those last few episodes really test her in terms of like playing different elements to the character, and I think one could have been mistaken in thinking she wasn't that great in season 1 because she has the same demeanor for most of it. But you get to see the expansion of the emotional range, and yeah, I thought she did excellent considering that.
Yep. Morpheus says, "Reminder: Snarky still hasn't seen Lord of the Rings." Oh, we know. Jay Fraser, Drinker and Mauler, what's the background for Saints and Sinners? Did Eric approach you, or did you approach Eric, or were you recommended to him by someone else? So it wasn't Eric. It was like the Soskas or something that approached us, wasn't it? I think
for me it was Eric. DM me on Twitter, I want to say. I assume this is all okay to say.
Yeah, I'm struggling to remember because it was quite a while back.
I believe I came because me and Eric haven't had many interactions. In fact, I think I'd only talked to him through Open Bar, funnily enough. Obviously, just our paths haven't really crossed that much. But he was given me as a recommendation by I believe someone who's currently writing one of those books as well. But,
who could that be?
And it was the kind of thing that was like, okay, but we'll have to see. And Eric said it on the stream, but like I put together a pitch that was detailed to say the least, and I think he and the Oscars liked it quite a bit, and so we ended up here.
Yeah, but yeah, the short answer is we were approached by them. We were asked if we were interested in doing it. as Mauler said, we presented some ideas and they were like, yeah, sounds good. And then we got to work. So it's been a fun process so far.
Mm-hmm.
Methalus says, Mauler, you and Gary finally convinced me to watch Clarkson's Farm. I'm only on episode 6, but I'm already loving it. So thanks for the recommendation. Also looking forward to Saints and Sinners. Excellent stuff.
It is not hyperbole to say that Clarkson's Farm is one of the best TV shows of the 2020s.
Yeah.
Like it's fucking top tier. It's super entertaining, super down to earth, super realistic, super funny. Like just watching something like that unfold, and it gives you, as weird as this sounds, gives you a little bit of insight into British farming and the state of farming in general, and it gives you a lot of sympathy for what the kind of problems they have to go through.
I mean, it's mind blowing when you think about it. Like a reality show about a distinctly middle-aged man dicking around on a farm and not really knowing what he's doing is more compelling than 95% of the slop that's out there right now, and it costs nothing to make.
Close to 4 seasons, like, good for you. And yes, it's got to have a profit margin that's absolutely fucking nuts because he's doing it anyway. So it's just like you have a team of people with some drones and a camera crew, have them on rotation and just grab everything for a season or whatever, and then go home and edit. It's like all of the sets are there, all the actors are there. There's no worry about anything.
Yeah. Craig the Bad Guy says, good luck on your writing, gentlemen. What was it like for you guys to figure out writing for comics? Did you prefer the full script or plot methods? So do you want to go first or shall
I? So like, how do I answer this when this is the first story I've written?
Well, I mean, so, like, you've got nothing to compare it to, but like, what was your experience of writing the story? Was it challenging? Was it unexpected?
The challenging part was fucking leading it, as in like getting it cut down because I made it too long. Isn't that crazy? Who would have thought?
Oh, who would have thought that?
So nuts. But it's you have X amount of goals and you line them up in a broad sense, and then you start filling it all in. And the more I filled in of what I thought was very much necessary, the more it ballooned. But I think the best thing about it is if you give it just a little bit of time and then come back and read your own stuff, you can be like, oh, I guess that isn't that necessary. I could see why I thought it was, but I don't think it's needed. And it's some kind of like rule. I don't know if this is a quote from someone or whatever, but whenever you have like a finished work, if you then are forced to chop even 20% of it, it's more than likely a good move anyway, because you're going to be more attached to the work in the first place. And it's like this weird backward logic of you will have cut truly what is the least important stuff because you don't want to lose anything. And then you'll feel like shit afterward, but it'll probably be a better story.
Because it's always a difficult thing to wrestle with as the creator, because you have to come to this acceptance that the audience doesn't care nearly as much about your story as you do. Obviously, because you wrote it, you're super invested in it. And so your instinct is to want to make it longer because you want to go into more detail, give more narrative richness, all that good stuff. But you're ultimately wasting your audience's time because they have to invest more time in reading it, and you increase the chances that they might not like it. And so, yeah, you're 100% right. Generally err on the side of cutting it down if you can, but it is not fun to do. And yeah, for me, it's I use the same process that I use for writing novels. It's just on a much smaller scale, much more concise, and it's something that you always struggle with because you're so used to working with hundreds of pages. Now you've got to cut it down to 15 or 20, but still try and tell a complete, emotionally, narratively satisfying story. So it's a fun challenge. I liked it. Dragon Paul Z, after rewatching Rogue One and after Andor season 2 finished, it's just not held up that well for me. The pacing, music, character writing, Jin is a plastic bag. It's not anywhere close to the same level as Andor. I think you're right. Yeah, in terms of writing quality, it's just not.
I gave it a rewatch. It does take a nosedive in terms of none of the lines are as interesting or multi-layered. A lot of it's very plot or straightforward. Jin sucks, man.
Yeah, she's boring. Really bland character.
They need a full redraft for that one.
Angry Merlin says, my only grievance with Andor is that it certainly feels rushed. It's well acted and presented, but some episodes wasted precious time on stuff that led nowhere, like the TIE advanced stuff. Yeah, I kept hoping for like a payoff for that, like giving it some kind of meaning, and it never really came.
Yeah, it's regrettable. I think that first arc. Considering how fucking potent the other three are for payoffs and setup, I would have scrapped that first arc and redid it with. I mean, I want more time with K2SO personally. Maybe that's a bit selfish, but I like the robot.
You just like Alan Tudyk, don't you? Admit it.
Easily, kidding me?
Yeah. Garfield's Bizarre Adventure. The only way Abby's ridiculous body from the video game could be possible would be if Abby was a female Olympic powerlifter who's hoarding the world's last supply of anabolic steroids. And that is a pretty specific set of circumstances. So yeah, I agree. You ain't going to get like that normally. Default says Nora looks like your average 2025 Seattle non-binary girl, not like a post-apocalypse Seattle woman who's been living in a world that ended in 2003. Yeah, it's just fucking show, man. It's a joke. Absolute joke.
I was just distracted because I was like, oh my god, she's going to be the girl in the super awesome, cool sci-fi new game that is going to probably not do very well.
Yeah. You hear she's already been like pre-trained to blame everything on racism.
I'm sure it's going to be a really fucking great time for Naughty Dog. Good luck, fellas.
Yeah. Dragon Ball Z, my favorite aspect of Andor is the justification of the Death Star. The plague of rebellion breaking ISB containment and becoming galaxy-spanning validates the Imperial need for such drastic measures. It certainly puts it into an interesting context now, because they're moving from the very subtle, insidious methods of like intelligence gathering and stuff to just straight up blowing up planets. It's powerful, but it's also in some ways a desperation measure of just using pure raw power and fear to control people.
The when Partagas says Death Star, what a prescient turn of phrase. It's like the way that it's destroyed everyone's lives up to this point in terms of trying to build it, to hide it, to prevent it, and then once it's complete, it's going to blow up planets. It's like, this is just a bad omen, like, in general. Like,
like we've got a thing called a Death Star. Are we the baddies?
Oh yeah. Well, I've always found that funny about the prequels. Anakin's like, I killed Mace Windu to save you, to learn how to save my wife. And Palpatine's like, yes, yes. So now let's kill all the Jedi. It's like, wow, that's a jump, but okay. And it's like, let's kill, children. And Anakin's like, oh, jeez, really? Just like, yeah, we need to, Anakin, trust me. And then by the end of the film, Anakin's got his robot gear on. He's sad about Padme. Walks up to the fucking bridge of the Star Destroyer. He's like, hey, Sheev, what you doing? What's up? And he's like, oh, just overlooking my giant death laser. It's like, why do we have a giant death laser? He's like, to destroy planets. Did I not talk about this? I could have sworn we talked about this. It's like, oh, gee, did I join the right side?
I immediately regret this decision.
Mm-hmm.
Irish John, real Star Wars, fake Star Wars. Let's just get some more good Star Wars. Agreed.
Yes, please.
Jay Smart says, we should really get that immunity into the gene pool. Ellie, I'm gay. Well, then read a friggin' magazine for 3 minutes. I don't know, dude. Jason B, hail to the chat. It's so refreshing to hear the panel passionately and positively discuss Star Wars. Any chance that Disney will wise up and give David Gilroy the keys going forward?
David Gilroy.
That's what they've written here. I'm just
fun enough. It's Tony Gilroy, Dan Gilroy, and I think John Gilroy. Like they've got it's like 3 brothers working on this show.
Yeah. So. Maybe there's a 4th one that we don't know about called David.
Maybe.
But yeah, I think we get who he's talking about there, and I don't know if he even wants to do it at this point because he's been working on this for a long time. Yeah. Toxic Gamer says, I'm still in the middle of making my video on the Birdman. I'm rebutting his videos on You Drinker. Question, who are your 3 favorite black actors, male or female? Why didn't you like the Minecraft post? Post? What does that mean?
Post?
P-O-S-T-E. Poster? I don't know. Did you miss out a word?
Don't know.
Anyway, yeah. 3 favorite black actors. Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, and I kind of want to say Wesley Snipes, even though he's a bit of a dick. But man, I do love him in Blade. I'll go with that.
if you do a bunch of his best performances in a row, like I can't resist. Samuel L. Jackson is just fun as fuck in all of his best movies. He's become a bit
Yes,
close to like he's getting like to the Rock levels though, where he's just moving into
we talked
lame
about
version of
this.
him. Yeah.
That's kind of why I discounted him, because I'm kind of like, okay, we're getting oversaturated with Samuel Jackson movies, and it's like it used to be a hallmark of like this movie's gonna be cool as fuck because Samuel Jackson's in it. Now it's like, I kind of cringe a little bit because he just takes on anything.
I
Which
love
is a
Keith
shame.
David whenever he turns up in anything. He's super fun. Love the
That's
voice.
fair.
And
Forrest Whitaker as
then,
well. He's always entertaining.
yeah, brings a gravitas every time. Forrest Whitaker. He's always reminds you of why he's fucking got so many different roles and so many different things. Do we say like James Earl Jones as well? Probably.
I mean, more voice acting, I guess.
You know,
Kind of what I
he's done his
appreciate
fair
with him.
share of IRL acting, whatever you call it, real.
What's the name of what's the name of the actor who was in Fall of the House of Usher? He was like the district attorney in that.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. He was in
I
Alias.
like him.
Fuck, I know. Why have I forgotten his name? Hang on, I'll get it. Yes, because he was in Falcon. Carl Lumley. That's it.
Yes. Yeah, I liked him in that. Got
Mhm.
some real gravitas going on there.
Oh, and Chiwetel Ejiofor. He's fantastic at his best.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because we were just like gushing over him in Serenity. Just playing the shit out of that role. Brad Horton says Ironheart is the impacted turd stuck in the colon of Marvel Studios. Now they're finally ready to grab their spoon and dig it out. I mean, yep. It's going to have about the same impact. Deval says, how to do a trailer 28 years later is the answer. It's a good trailer. Very good. 007 Angelo says, Thunderbolts will wind up in the Walmart $1 bin. Sorry, I'm being mean. Okay, the $5 bin. Only watching season 2 to see Hot Tamale Isabella Merced. I mean, there's got to be easier ways to see her really than slogging through that show. But yeah, Thunderbolts is, I think it's pretty much, you know, tapped out now at the cinema.
Yeah.
Like it's 320, I think it's sitting at. That's after 3 weekends. So probably by next weekend, that's when they're going to start shuffling it out in favor of like, you know, Mission Impossible and stuff. So not a good one.
It's not a success, no.
Chernobog says, I'm not sure if this is common knowledge, but I just found out that Denise Goff, the actress that plays Dedra Miro, is also Yennefer from Witcher 3. I had no idea. I didn't at the time. It was only over the course of season 2 that I learned it. And I was like, oh yeah, I can sort of hear bits of Yennefer in her voice. She doesn't look like I imagined from her voice. Shaker Silver. Clark's raised like a normal human and had huge responsibility put on him. Superman's a face put on to assure others. Cracking as Lois questions his methods feels genuine versus Snyder telling Cavill to just frown. It's a tough one because I mean, this is a young Superman, isn't it? Like, he's like a lot younger than, say, the Christopher Reeve version.
Yeah.
And so I can forgive an element of inexperience and like having difficulty reining in his emotions on stuff like this. But I don't know, man. It doesn't. I don't think that interview painted either of them in a particularly good light. It just made Lois like look needlessly combative and him look kind of frustratingly defensive.
Yeah, I mean, it might play better in context, maybe. I know people have tried to defend it, saying that it was expected. It's like the way it can go between two people where you're expecting a calm and almost fun back and forth, but then she gets journalisty on him and they actually stumble across real issues, hence they get angry at each other or something. It's like, maybe.
Patrick Mulligan says Mauler is gay for Partagaz and Cyril. Just saying.
Yep.
Well, what's wrong with that?
Hey, throw Luthen in as well.
Yeah, threesome. Clay Slay says, plot twist, all AI is actually just mutant monkeys. Finally, the truth's out there. Burnt says, 1, Superman should be completely opposite of Clark, completely. 2, Snark is right. Crypto in the comics was definitely a white lab which shows love and power in its breed, like Superman himself. I mean, it's a superpowered dog. I don't think the actual breed matters that much. It's just more like the fact that it's a fucking dog with a cape on.
I mean, people are mad that he modeled it after his own dog, right? As opposed to modeling it after the comic dog.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an argument to be made there, but I think Drinker's right. Assuming you're appealing to like general audiences, aren't going to mind that at all.
Burnt says, as a disabled man and once boy, Superman was my hope and strength. Donner's 1 and 2 were my bedtime stories, so to speak. Seeing Superman being handled this way really just, it hurts. I can get that. Spasmaticus says, Andor and Rogue One is Firefly. Sorry, Andor/Rogue One is Firefly/Serenity in my mind. An excellent show that ended too soon and a slightly overpacked movie to tie everything together. Do you think Andor retroactively justifies the frenetic pacing of Rogue One? Rogue One is such a compromised product because it's the product of two different creatives and a pretty like chaotic production process, and it's so tough to judge it against the standards of Andor.
Rogue One shouldn't be compared to Serenity because Rogue One is also it is made better by Andor. It's also made worse in places. Rogue One's a bizarre thing to watch after Andor because Cassian's like a fucking side character. He's quintessentially he doesn't get anywhere near as much, and it's bizarre because it's like isn't he the main dude? And it's like no, she's the main dude now, and she's like catastrophically fucking lame compared. And there's this sequence where I don't know if you remember it, but Cassian has like a speech about his desire to like work within the rebellion, how important it is, and how much he wants to make a difference to her after knowing her for like half a day. It's just like, man, this speech shouldn't be made to anyone but like at best who's on that. Like Mon Mothma would make more sense. Having it to her is just like, But of course, these are problems that come as a result of it being made in different order. There's some lines when Tarkin says the reason Krennic should be thankful he's even like around to view the Death Star and stuff, and that he's taking over the project because of all the recent failures. That didn't mean anything, but now it means everything. Like thanks to Andor, we know that Tarkin's referring to all of the ISB failures, and that Krennic is technically, overseeing, and his head's got to roll now because Partagaz is dead.
And it's so fucking frustrating because, like, why couldn't we have just got Andor first as the show and then lead it into Rogue One? Like, why did everything have to be in, like, retard order where it's all backwards and, like, we know how Andor is going to end anyway because we know where it's leading. We know he's going to die. It's like, everything was against this fucking show, man, honestly.
And, it makes sense. If Gilroy got a chance to make Rogue One after Andor was all settled, it would have been way better and closer to maybe something like Serenity. But as it stands, Serenity... I love Serenity. It's like excellent. Rogue One, there's good stuff in it, and a lot of it is bolstered by Andor. But I don't even know that I'd call it a good movie.
Campbell Patterson says the Superman trailer was a bit chaotic for me, but I'll see it just because I hope we get an optimistic, well-written Superman. This is something we haven't really gotten since Reeve. I will say, like Superman Returns with Brandon Routh, I thought was a pretty good approximation of the character. I think he was essentially just doing an impersonation of Christopher Reeve, but yeah, I thought it was decent. People forget that movie even existed. Sam Wallace Art says, instead of Jungle Boys arcs, we need a post-Gorman beat where Luthen screws up and fully falls out with Yavin. What we got is good, it just needs a bit more.
There's lots we didn't get that I think would have been wonderful. But I mean, as people have mentioned, like the build-up of Yavin would have been cool to see. The deterioration of all the relationships that Luthen had falling up, that would have been cool.
Yeah, because that was a little bit patchy.
Just more K2SO, more Luthen, more Partagaz, more all my favorite characters just doing things. All more missions. I really enjoyed watching Cassian do his all designer personality guy. I really like the scene where he meets with one of the ladies as part of the Gorman defense, and he tries to tell her through subtext, like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, when she first comes in, he's like, wow, I was going to make my appointment tomorrow. She's just like, la, 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 and sits down. And he's just like, what are you doing? So, just stuff like that, it would have been cool to see more of.
C Swerve says, I've watched as much reactions to the Superman trailer. I've only seen Tyrone dislike it. People forget that the majority audience gave up on Henry and Zach. Sure, I mean, I don't think anyone on Open Bar was clinging to the Snyderverse as like, great stuff. I think it's going to be like compared to Henry Cavill as an actor rather than the movies he was in. Jander says, "Hail panel, drinker. Have you seen Havoc? Fun little crooked cop action movie with Tom Hardy. Reminds me of cheesy 80s action that I grew up with." Yeah, the plot's pretty flaccid, but the action sequences are superb. Really good fun. And it was filmed entirely in Wales, I think.
Yeah, I've heard about this. I need to watch it just for that, I think. To see if I recognize
It's
stuff.
they're very clearly making a lot of use of CGI for the external scenes, to the point where it's kind of distracting when there's a car chase. But yeah, the indoor stuff is all really good.
Okay.
Like I say, some of the action sequences, the shootouts and stuff, I liked it. I like that. Jay Fraser says Director X presents Marvel's Iron Hearts trailer. It's kind of what it feels like. Next one. Kettlecorn. The worst part of Andor is that it's Star Wars. Strip Star Wars from Andor and you have a fantastic political thriller. Strip Star Wars from a show like Mando and you have nothing of value. That is very true. The Hidden Duck. Is it just me or does Vel from Andor look exactly like redhead Kim Wexler? I don't know.
I mean, maybe a little bit, I guess. I don't know.
Half Brain Gamers. The suit is literal perfection. It will be when it fits a woman. Just yeah. I'm getting pumped up already thinking about that show. Just Being Me says, anyone notice Black Widow is one of the few characters that was not race or gender swapped? Interesting. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but she was replaced by her
Well,
sister.
sure. I mean, yeah, I think there's like all the characters have been replaced to some degree, but usually when they are gender swapped.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of the female version of a male hero, but I guess that one was already taken care of, so they didn't feel the need to switch on that front. And I mean, I guess
you can't really have a male Black Widow either. I guess it doesn't work that way.
Imagine they did though. You'll be like, what the hell?
TWF. I never thought they'd be able to ruin Devil May Cry and Dante, but against all odds, they somehow managed to do it with their Netflix abomination. What the hell is next on the chopping block? Yeah, people were warning about that when I was streaming last night. Like, basically, don't watch it. It's awful. Wyatt Fry says, did you hear that Disney took down a movie called Togo for costing too much money, yet their other products are fine to keep up on Disney+. Strange, eh? Daily Dose. But imagine if the scene is exactly the same, but Luthen just comes out in this bulky Sith armor, lol, then he has to take it off to stab himself. I mean, wouldn't that be a kick? Fanfiction says, the only hope for Disney/Marvel, let Doom go through the MCU and just start 86 in the entire roster. First She-Hulk and her best friend, the Marvels, Hagatha and her coven, wipe them all out, all of them. That would be quite funny, actually, if you just killed all the unpopular characters.
It would be fun, yeah.
Puppies says, Mothma agrees to murder an old friend. Her daughter is marrying a gangster's kid. She downs some drinks and joins the wedding dance. Her husband smiles, then realizes she's not dancing for joy. Indeed.
Yeah, he's the only one that picks it up.
Was there not a scene that was written but never filmed where the husband was going to confess to her that like he knew all along what she was involved in? And he was questioned by the ISB like multiple times, and he always covered for her. And he's like, "I wish you would have just trusted me with this." And
yeah,
that would have been quite good,
revealing that he did care about her, he protected her, and that she was wrong about him. And I really do think it's regrettable that didn't make it in, because the final scene we get of him, where he's got his like alcohol and he's clearly like fucking Skulden's wife, which I find hilarious, basically indulging as he does, but he looks unhappy. And I think the implication is like he genuinely misses her, which
oh, for sure, yeah.
I think there's some good stuff there, for
I think it would have been nice to see a bit more depth to him with something like that. It would have been a nice revelation. This kind of lightweight, party guy that you could dismiss throughout the whole show. It was like, he actually has a lot more going on, and he was a lot more aware of what was happening.
Yeah.
Patrick Mulligan says, on Partagast's ending, anyone remember what the operative says in the first scene of Serenity? Also, what a great cast of women characters in Andor. Very true. What does the operative say?
In the first, are they talking about his literal first line, or are they saying something that's applicable in the scene?
Well, he talks about falling on your sword, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess it's pretty appropriate to this.
Well, I mean, I would assume he did it because he knew he was going to get executed anyway. He'd
Oh,
rather
yeah,
go out
for
and
sure.
send hymns, but yeah, sure.
Jimber Jamber says, cheers, gents. Just got a tooth pulled a couple of hours ago. Thank God for whiskey and Snarky. Speaking of which, Snarky, watch Lord of the Rings, goddammit. I love how everyone's just piling in on her for this.
Yeah.
Shlomi Liner says, back in 2019, when Kevin said that he'll introduce more women in the MCU, I was excited. I was hoping to see characters like X-23 or Spider-Woman. Now I'm terrified that we'll see them, especially after She-Hulk and this. Yeah, you're right to be terrified.
Mm-hmm.
David Cole, Rogue One would have been better without the second KK archetype. I do wish, albeit hopelessly, that Andor could have retconned that detail among others. Yeah, it would have been good. Jice says, please review Severance. It's really fucking good. Thanks for the content, mate. I mean, I've talked about it a few times on Open Bar. I've enjoyed it so far. No idea if the mystery box is going to be worth it, but I do like it.
Mm-hmm.
Silly Sailor says, why did the ISB have to wear parachute pants? It's really hard to take a villain dressed like MC Hammer seriously. It's the style, okay? They had to keep it consistent. Intent matters. Can we get some appreciation for Clea as a character? I got emotional when she got out of the hut in the final scene and saw rebellion in full swing. Something that she was working towards from the shadows her whole life.
Yeah.
Very good.
And her fear of like she wouldn't be welcome there because of the animosity between the rebels and Luthans. Like the truth is, she absolutely is, and it's amazing for her to be able to see what she and Luthen, created the origins of.
Tyler B says, I hate sand is more Anakin saying that he hates his past being a slave on a desert planet than the literal sand to me. That's one way to interpret it. It's probably quite a charitable way, but I can get behind it.
Very much a part of it. It's just that it doesn't play so well in that scene. I think there's just better ways to not only write it but also perform it.
That's true. Jay Fraser, how the fuck did Andor's budget cost 650 million? I mean, it's a good looking show, but yeah, that's a lot to dump on something like this. And Sunny Hard R says Mueller not seeing good soap operas is on him. So there you go, Mueller. You need to watch better ones.
I didn't say I'd seen bad ones. I just said that Andor is like one of the best soap operas. Someone said it was a soap opera. I was like, that's a top tier one, Who doesn't love EastEnders?
I mean, sure, yeah. I'm not sure I'd put Andor into that category, but if it makes people feel better, then yeah, okay. It's a soap opera. It's a space opera. But that was the last of the super chats right there. So, as always, thank you everyone for sending them through. We've done our best to answer them here. And actually, it was great because not too many of them were for the rest of the panel. So we could really address all of them, which was nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was great. And you will see us on the next Open Bar on Thursday. But until then, that's all we've got for today. So go away now.
Bye.